Welcome, welcome. This is Much Love with Keoki, part of the Much Love family. My name is David, and across from me is the amazing artist, father, and a man that means a lot to me, the wonderful Keoki. In this
Yeah.
episode, I want to explore the power of travel in shaping our lives, our values, and our personal growth. As always, this is from the heart, and I hope you enjoy. Much love. So, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Man, life is great. Every day we wake up is a great day, brother. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? I got the same perspective. Work hard, be with family, try to relax, and just keep going. Appreciate what I've got, and hope for the best for the next day. So that's that. I think we share that perspective on things.
Yeah, we do. Definitely do, brother.
So this one's about travel, and let's just start. Kind of what have you been up to? I went to New York with my wife. We just took a quick vacation. We like food, comedy shows, so we we ate like pigs. We ate tons of Italian, tons of bakeries, and we hit up a bunch of comedy shows. So it was a good time. It was short, but you know what? You gotta, like I was saying, you gotta appreciate what you've got and the time that you have, because that's what's fleeting in the world. You can have money, you can have personal objects, you can have all of it, but time is the most valuable. That's what our common denominator is across all the world. We've only got time, and
Right,
you
right.
got to appreciate it.
It's the one
So
thing we
you,
can't get back.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that I've read in different books. They say that the time is the most valuable thing. The billionaires, their time is as fleeting as ours. They can't buy more time more than we can. I guess they can get the right medications and things like that to keep going, but it expires for all of us, and we just got to
Yeah.
push on through. So I mean, that's important to me. And the traveling with family is also important. So you were telling me that you went to Mississippi. What was that like?
Yeah, no, Mississippi's great, brother. We go out to visit a friend of mine. His name is Matt Stebley. Tattoos over at Twisted Anchor Tattoo out in Ocean Springs, and I love going out to Mississippi. I have an uncle of mine that me and him were stationed in the military together back in the early 2000s.
Oh,
Out in
cool.
Fort, yeah, we were stationed out in Texas together. It's my dad's cousin, and then him and my aunt moved out to Mississippi out there in Biloxi. So they've been there since, like, I want to say they got there like 1996 or
Oh,
something
wow.
like that. So they've been there forever. And I would always go there periodically to go visit my uncle and my aunt. So plus there's all those casinos out in Biloxi. So
Yeah, I've never been there, and when I think of Mississippi, it's probably wrong and a misconception, but I think of it as a little bit of backwoods, kind of. That's probably not the right thing to say, not
Oh
politically
no,
correct, but
it's not as how would you say, not as industrialized. That's what we could put it. It's
yeah.
very not that much. They got the city out there in Biloxi and something, but it's definitely a lot of country, a lot of old school. So it's super cool that you won't be driving into like concrete jungles. You know what I mean? So not like L.A. or San Francisco or anything like that. Like it's definitely Mother Nature still out there. And after Katrina, the coast. Apparently, that my uncle, my aunt, and even my friend Matt Stebley tell me a lot about the differences and the changes in the coastline ever since Katrina hit. Hurricane Katrina leveled everything that was going on there in the south along the coastline, and it used to be almost as bustling as Las Vegas. And
Really?
yeah, they've had a rough time. I mean, they've come back, they've recovered, but it's definitely not the same vibe or the same energy I heard from a lot of people what Biloxi was before Hurricane Katrina. But I mean, the most important thing, I mean, just we travel out there is just family, man. It's family, and even like my tattooing, like I travel to see my friends. They're my extended family. They're everything. Traveling is everything to me, man. I mean, a place that I'd like to go to is New York, man. Like, have you guys been to New York before?
Oh yeah, we go there, a lot. We love it. I would absolutely, if if there wasn't income tax, if it wasn't, the craziness, I would love to move there. The weather was perfect for me. I love the cold, so it was, low of 55, high of 70. It was just that was perfect.
Okay,
You
that's a
wear
good cool
jeans,
weather.
yeah, jeans, a t-shirt, and a light jacket, and you're good. That's that's it for me. That's why I love San Francisco. I love going out there as well. But and there are tons of tattoo shops up there. I'm surprised you haven't gone up there to do something.
Oh, I actually used to live in San Francisco, and I traveled to San Francisco a lot. In fact, San Francisco was the first place that I traveled to outside of Hawaii after I started tattooing. So I've been a big 49er fan ever since I was in high school. So love watching football. Whole Joe Montana, Steve Young era is when I was in high school, and so San Francisco was always like the golden place for me to go to from Hawaii. So from Hawaii, I was like, man, I'm gonna get to San Francisco. I ended up dancing hula in Hawaii, and then ended up our troop had an or our halau had an extension in San Francisco in the Fremont area. So we went out, and I would dance hula up there in San Francisco, and then started tattooing my hula brothers. We had a competition there. I was think it was called Ioe Kala, which is the hula competition in Pleasanton out in San Francisco. And I couldn't afford to go, but one of my hula brothers was like, "Hey man, if I pay for you to come up to dance hula, will you tattoo me?" And so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So that started actually my traveling and tattooing, because I was just tattooing in the islands, doing my thing, my hometown, kind of just traveling. I would travel around the island to people's places, houses, and different shops and places to tattoo. But it was that moment when my hula brother asked me to come up and dance with them, and that was around 2006, 2008, around that time. So that was when I first started traveling for tattooing, and literally it's never stopped since. Whew, I'm about to say. Okay, so sorry, where were we, brother? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, no. So we'll jump back in. Uh, so when you go to a shop, like when you went to Mississippi, do you have
Mm-hmm.
people lined up, or do you have people that meet you out there? How does that work?
Oh, usually when we go to travel to other tattoo shops or other places, we'll go and either put out a post, or sometimes it's like I have a friend's shop that they invite me to come over, or other times I have like an influx of like a people's a certain amount of people who will want me to come to a location or a city or an area, and then but both times we'll book appointments before we get there. I mean, back in the days when I first started tattooing, we would just kind of show up at my friends' places and just kind of take walk-ins. That's old school classic stuff. Just kind of sit
Right.
there and wait. But now we have been blessed with nothing with great clientele, brother. So we travel. I could travel around the world and book tattoos for days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you ever decide to come to Tampa, I guarantee you that you'll have me booked.
Oh yeah, brother. That's I mean I can't wait to get down over there. Get down south, because like I said, one of the guys I looked up to a lot when I was tattooing, when I started coming up, was Samoan Mike, or Mike
Yep.
Fatutoa, who happens out to be out there in Tampa Bay. So
Yeah,
I gotta
he's his shop is I'm not joking, is 10 minutes away from me.
it's what the just the irony of it, but just all the coincidence, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny. So I'll travel wherever. I travel to Utah. I travel up to you to Atlanta, and I've got this guy that's 10 minutes away from me, and I haven't been able to see him. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason, and it led me to you, and I couldn't be happier with the work that you've done. So, it
Thank
all
you.
works out for a reason. So do you ever have vacations, or everything is tattoo shop related?
90% of his tattoo shop related. It's one of those things where it's as an entrepreneur, like the only thing I can do is work, right? So like I tell people, if I stop working, then money stops coming in, so
Right.
it's not like I don't have a job where, like, I got a friend who just, not a friend, my cousin. So my cousin is a poker dealer down in Biloxi, Mississippi, my
Okay.
uncle and aunt's son. And he was just a dealer, and then he took a job recently as a pit boss with them at the hotel. And they said he took the job as a pit boss because it pays for vacation. So now, like, if when he goes on vacation, he gets paid his $19 an hour for his vacation time. Where for
Right.
me, as like you know, I mean, a lot of jobs don't, pay vacation, but I don't have that. Like, for me, even money doesn't come in. Period. If I stop working, so
That's
as an
true. That's
entrepreneur, I got
true.
to do that. Yeah, but in fact, it's so funny that you're saying all this, because this next Sunday coming up, not this Sunday, but the not today, but next Sunday, me and my son leave to travel to California for vacation.
Oh, very cool. Where are you going?
And, we're going to LA to go to we're going to go to Disneyland and Universal Studios.
Oh,
My
wow.
my son, my ex-wife, my son's mom, her niece from her brother is graduating high school out in San Diego, and the family's coming from Hawaii to California to go for her graduation ceremonies and stuff like that. So we just took it as like, oh man, we're gonna take that time to travel to California, and then do our little vacation, let him spend time with his mom and their family and stuff like that. And I think one of the most important things, like you were saying just now, like if it's vacation time or all work, 99% of what I do is just work, and I need to learn work life balance, right?
Yeah.
And taking vacations and things has always been very important. And mind you, I travel a lot. I mean, for tattooing, I've been around the world, whether when I was a child, my dad being in the military, or me being in the military, and then with my tattooing. And I just it's important to, I think, change the environment and change where you're at to kind of get growth.
Yeah. How long are you going for?
7 days. I'll be gone 7 days. My son will be gone like 20 days. He wants
Oh,
to go
wow.
on. Yeah, his mom, then we're gonna hang up and hang out in LA with her brother for a while. And in fact, her brother lives in San Diego, so we're gonna go to LA for Universal Studios and Disneyland, and then they're gonna go down to San Diego to go and hang out with his family.
So, growing up, did you get to go on vacations as a family, or it was just crazy because the your dad being in the military?
Yeah, we did. I wouldn't necessarily call them vacations. They were kind of like minor getaways. My mom and dad had 6 kids, so anybody who has kids knows just having one's enough. You have 6 of them, you just want to,
Yeah,
if
no,
you want
that's
to, right?
traveling with a ridiculous group, 6 kids. That's nuts.
Yeah, you want to test your mental resolve. Get 6 kids and just travel around the world. And if you don't kill your kids doing that, then you're doing good.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, and the cost is probably ridiculous traveling with that many kids, and knowing how you grew up. I guess that limits the things that you do. I mean, you probably just travel to see family, and that's the vacation.
Right, right. And even when my dad was in the military, like the military took care of us and it was great. And all of the downside stuff of my life came when my dad got out of the military. I mean, a lot of it happened when he was in the military because he was still a, cocaine addict and alcoholic, but the meth didn't come into play until we got to Hawaii. But we were traveling around the world, but my mom would do these where my dad would go out to training, and we lived in Germany at the time. And it was like yeah, we had all 6 of us then. My youngest brother was born in Germany, 1985. And so my mom would put all the kids in the car while my dad was training. He's gone for like weeks at a time, sometimes months.
Okay.
And my mom would just throw all the kids in the car, and we would drive around Europe. That's all we would do. And I don't remember it a lot because we were really young then. But my mom used to just go and just throw the kids in the car and drive around for 2 to 3 days, just go and see places. My mom would tell us stories about where we used to go. And we I don't I swear I was like, what's that was 85. I was 6 years old. So
Hmm.
I didn't remember much, but I don't remember us ever taking a vacation as a family. I don't think we ever did in my life. We haven't.
Yeah, I was fortunate. We had family vacations. Over anytime we had school breaks. Spring break or Christmas break.
Hmm.
We would go to different cities, and we would either drive or sometimes fly to see family. I have family in New York. That's where my mom grew up. So we would go visit
Oh.
my grandparents and travel there a lot. But my dad's from Oklahoma, so it's kind of crazy, the two different worlds that they grew up in. And we would go see family in Oklahoma. So we traveled a lot, and I was very, like I said, very fortunate. It we grew closer as a family. Having the quality time, and I I think I remember most of it. When I think back. I think back fondly, even though I'm sure I was a pain in the ass for them growing up and traveling. You
Right.
know, but we did some really cool trips. Like, I'm Jewish, so we traveled to Israel for my sister's bat mitzvah, and
Oh.
so I was 18, and I acted crazy. I was chasing chicks, and you could drink over there at 18. So that was, I got wasted and missed a bunch of things, but it was an incredible experience. So those things I do remember fondly. Um, but
What?
so I'll go ahead.
No, where in Oklahoma? Where was your family?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma's cool. I went to I did my training in good old Lawton, Oklahoma.
Okay,
So
so the
Fort Sill.
sticks.
Yeah, out in Fort Sill, good middle of nowhere.
My dad actually graduated from Oklahoma University, so he went in Norman, Oklahoma.
Wow,
So
super cool.
so my dad was in medical school out there, and my mom came from New York and lived out there. So she went from New York City to Norman, Oklahoma. You want to talk about a cultural shock? That's kind of crazy. So getting to your military brat experience, what was the adjustment process, making new friends and adapting to new environments? Like as an example, how did you navigate new schools, neighborhoods, social
Oh
circles?
man.
What was that world like?
Man, I guess you can have to anybody out there who's ever been a military brat. We know. I tell people that military brats have a superpower, and I think our superpower is the power of adjustment. Because we've had to every 3 years, 2 to 3 years, you're up in a different place. You're in a different city. You're in a different world. You're in a different school. You're with different friends, and you had to try to make friends. And the crazy thing is, I mean there's upsides and downsides to it. Like in Hawaii, I have a lot of my cousins who will introduce me to their friends, and they've been friends and known each other since they were 3 years old. You know what I mean? And they're like, we went through life together, everything together. This is my best friend, this and that. And I don't think I've ever had many friends more than 5 years. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
Because in the
rough. That's
military,
rough.
yeah, you're gone, you're constantly gone, and you tend to have the ability to adapt. I can adapt to any situation. Where you take me anywhere and I'll fit in an instant, like literally any country in the world, and I'll go there, find their ways, find the way they talk, listen to the way they are, their mannerisms and everything, and I'll fit in a heartbeat. But I don't have a long term friendship or somebody that you can have that you've talked to through your life and growing up. So you don't have that. So you're definitely more of an independent life. That you have to kind of be self-sustaining because once again, your dad, even your parents, whoever was in the military, they're trying to adjust to a new unit, a
Right.
new group themselves. And I mean, a lot of people before, they didn't really, I don't think they really understood it too much, but how much the kids have to go through that. Because you're in that point where you're still insecure. You're young. You don't know yourself yet. You don't understand your powers or your abilities yet as a kid. You're just trying to fit in, and then you keep changing the environment. It makes it difficult for the kid to fit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Was it hard, or did you like learn things from other people in the military, like other families? Did you kind of learn? I mean, did they come from, different backgrounds, and, did you learn about new kind of perspectives on things from the other families that were with you in the military?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the biggest thing is like the military is it's a community. I tell people it's a life. It's literally a world of its own. And being in the military, even a child, excuse me, of military parents, like we just kind of dug into each other. And after a while, we understood each other that we were all children that were just we were just tossed around the world following our parents, and we kind of clung to each other to know that we're going to make the best of what we have right now because it's going to go. I mean, yeah, do we have long-term emotional connection problems?
Hmm.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Like trying to you have to turn off a certain part of yourself to understand that you cannot get connected too deep, because if you connect too deep to somebody, to friends, sometimes once again it gets broken, right? So as a child being in the military, for me it was like I just you never dove too deep into a friendship with somebody because you guys probably wouldn't see each other for long anymore. You know what I mean? Just because
Yeah.
of your parents' career. So I guess it travels all the way into later on in life. With me now, just relationships and everything like that. Trying to keep a long term connection has always been the most difficult thing for me because I just never knew how to do that growing up.
Right. So, were there the other families that you were with in the military? Were they from different backgrounds? Different socioeconomic kind of things, different religions, different everything. Did you pick up, and were you like exposed to different things, or were people mostly the same? Same people get into the military.
No, I think that was like once again the other side of the superpower of military brats is that we were exposed to so many different types of people. We got people from Mexico, people from the Middle East, people from all over the world trying to become U.S. citizens. Majority of them trying to become U.S. citizens, and one way to do it is to join the military. So a
Oh,
lot of these different cultures would come into the military and they would do time in the service. And when they finish their time in service, like let's say I think it was a one term or something like that, 4 or 5 years, then they can get their U.S. citizenship because they fought for the
really? I
country.
didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yes. So you could either do it like ways of like naturalized, just coming in and trying to fill out paperwork and all that stuff, or you could just serve in the United States military. And a lot of times that's just you're giving your life for the country. And
Right.
I guess after your term that you choose, and then because I've had a lot of friends even when I was in the military who are from Mexico, and they were like, I want to be a U.S. citizen. The best way to do it was to join the military, and they joined the military and they served with us, and they all got their citizenships while we were in the service, and we had massive parties because that's what they wanted, their citizenship. Yeah, so it was awesome.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so with the people like being exposed to that, you're exposed to different languages, you're exposed to different cultures and ways, the way people cooked food. Like sometimes we go over to our friends houses and their mom was Jewish, or their mom was Japanese, or their dad was from Africa, and you got different foods, but these are just the kids in the neighborhood that we all grew up. Their dad probably is a sergeant, works with my dad or something like that. We're all in the neighborhood, and so we kind of had that connection. So it made things really super cool.
Yeah, I mean that kind of exposure, it has, an impact on you, and kind of
Hmm.
in your formative years, growing up, that shapes you. So I mean, being exposed to all of those different backgrounds, I mean, that kind of, if you will, prepared you for your future. I mean, so you getting out of the concept of a military brat, then you joined the army. What
Hmm.
was your travel like in the army? I mean, so did you travel, let's just say if you were stationed in Germany, when you were out there, were you able to go to the other countries in Europe?
Oh yeah, you always have leave time. You can always go to places, what when you're in the military, when you're stationed places. Unfortunately, the only place I went outside of the United States stationed with the military being stationed, it was Korea. So went out to Korea. We hung out over there for a while, drank way too much soju, and just we got smashed in places. And I was like, I think I was like at the time like 22, 23. So I was still in that, I want to see how much my liver can handle kind of stage,
Right.
and that tore us up. But Traveling, we've been everywhere. I mean, all through the states. I've been through many places in the states. When I was stationed in Texas, we used to drive up and down the state all the time. We used to fly to other places. I had friends who were from different states, so we'd fly over to California or Massachusetts or some places, just hang out with my friends. So we ended up building that community. But traveling was a big thing. The military took me to places. We deployed to a lot of places. We went to places all over the world, but being stationed and going on vacation was another story for me.
Was different, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were in Korea, did you just like stayed? Did you go to Seoul?
We didn't go to Seoul. We flew into Osan Air Force Base, and then we were up at Camp Humphreys up north by Mobile, and we went to like Tongdushan, Itaewon. We went to other places that were kind of like in that upper area, kind of stuff like that, because we were right along the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, which separates North and South
Oh,
Korea. So we were kind of north, more up towards that, and we were hanging out up over there, but. Yeah, no, I didn't go to Seoul. We went to, like I said, Itaewon, Tangshan, all that stuff. We do a lot of shopping. Back then, it was like a lot of electronics were super cheap. So
hmm.
I'd buy some stuff and then send it home to my mom. And you can get really cool, like custom made blankets and everything like that. It was some really cool stuff. So we traveled around a lot, but I just mainly hung around the base. We just kind of drank a lot with the soldiers. That's what I did.
What was the DMZ like? Did you ever interact with North Koreans?
No, I didn't, but we were there. We saw it. We patrolled it. So I just kind of just we just kept to ourselves and just hoped that the guy on the other end of the fence wouldn't pull the trigger first. You know what I mean? So
That's crazy.
yeah, it's cool. You get to see awesome things. The culture itself is unbelievable. I mean, Korean culture in Hawaii is a very big part of the Hawaiian people. In fact, it's so big in Hawaii that a lot of people say they want to eat Hawaiian barbecue, but it's actually Korean food.
Korean.
We yeah, it's all Korean with the meat June, which is actually a dish created in Hawaii. With all the kalbi and all the different types of meat. It's all just that. And in Hawaii, our favorite meal in the day is breakfast, where we have spam, eggs, and rice. That's our favorite breakfast. But it comes from the bibimbap, where they have the egg on top of the rice with the actual meat, whatever meat you have, and stuff like that. So it's the Koreans are very big in Hawaii. So and then we karaoke our lives away in Hawaii. So
Yeah, I mean, so I lived in Europe for a few years, and I went to school out there. So
cool.
I lived in London and traveled every weekend. Flights were ridiculous. So you could fly to Germany for like $50 each way.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy then. I was actually in London for 9/11 and got to see the world change from a different perspective. So
Oh
that was,
wow. What was
yeah,
that like?
it was nuts. I mean, so we've kind of talked about my struggles with addiction, and so I was getting high, and with so talking about being with other cultures, I had friends that were South African, and I was with South Africans and Argentinians, and we were getting really high. It was mid afternoon, and we just happened to catch the first tower fall on television. And I was so high that when the second one went down, I thought I was just seeing the same thing. I thought it was just a replay. So, and the world, though, over there, didn't I don't remember it changing much. But when I came back to the States, the world had changed. Everyone had a
Oh,
flag in their yard. It was crazy. It was a different world. Like I missed that transition. It was really interesting. But so I was
wow.
I was in Europe, and I traveled to something like 13 or 14 different countries, and I went to Amsterdam at least 10 times. So that was,
Wow.
yeah, but that was me going to get high in Amsterdam. That was, unfortunately, a lot of my travel was based on getting high. But I got to see, I was in Germany, I was in um, Italy, Spain, France. We went up to
Wow.
Denmark. I went to Russia. I had friends that were from everywhere. So I went to this. It's called Richmond American University. So it's an American style university in London, but
Wow.
all the all the students were from other countries. So I had great friends that were Egyptian, and that was something that was different for me because I had a different view of the Middle East. Being Jewish, I was pro Israel and didn't think highly. I mean, that was like, unfortunately, a preconceived notion, and it changed. I wrote papers on Islam, and I got to see my friends pray, and it was just an incredible experience over there. And I got to see not only the different cultures by traveling, but because this university had all international students, I got to see their world, their perspectives, their backgrounds coming through. And you know what? It shaped me. It really
Yeah.
did change things about me. I had this friend that was from Argentina, and he was a close friend, and he couldn't be more different from me. Um, I would have to plan out everything, and he would plan nothing. It would literally be by the seat of his pants. He would just float from one thing to another, and it was crazy because it always seemed to work out for him. And I was shocked by it. So I had to adapt and learn how to relax. And I did.
Mm.
It was a profound effect on me, and I loved him for it. And I still keep in touch with a lot of people. I had friends that were children of diplomats. So
Wow.
they traveled to everywhere. I had friends from Japan, and you know what, that's so I like I'm saying, I traveled Europe extensively, but somewhere that I'd like to go is Japan.
Mm.
And that I don't know about Korea or China. Those are a
Right.
little scary for me, but Japan seems really cool. You've been there, right?
Yeah, when I was dancing hula in Hawaii, we would travel to Japan to actually perform. They say it's funny. Excuse me, sorry. The Japanese tend to love the Hawaiian culture more than the Hawaiians do. It's really crazy. Yeah, they love us. So they would always fly Hawaiians, authentic Hawaiians, to Japan to perform. And one thing the Japanese just love for some reason, they've embraced our culture of the islands, especially Hawaii, like wholeheartedly. The Japanese are unbelievable people. They are perfectionists in everything they do,
Hmm.
in their culture, and they've come and really put on I mean, man, their hulas are unbelievable. It's super great, super awesome. But I've had the joy of going to Japan several times to perform, dancing hula and just hanging out, hanging out in different cities and cruising. And Japan's actually probably one of my favorite places. Like I love Japan. Japan, the culture, the people, the history, the integrity, the I mean everything about the culture is just awesome.
Have you picked up, like I learned from this kid from Argentina, and I learned from friends from across the world. Have your relationships with people from those countries influenced you, changed you, made you, like, gave you different perspectives on things?
Oh yeah, I think that's one of like I said, adding on to the superpower of being a kid who was in the military as a brat and everything, seeing different cultures and things, and just getting outside of your box, right? You quote unquote city. Like they got some people who have, one, never left the islands in Hawaii, two, some people who have never left their hometown here in the States, and the exposure to people gives you, I think, different perspectives of life, right? You're traveling the world to see the world in a different light. Like you said, experiencing September 11th for you in Europe was a different experience than somebody who was sitting in New York or even in San Francisco at the
Right.
time that the towers fell. You're literally looking through into the world through a different lens, a different perspective, right? And only then, I think, will that help broaden to have a full understanding, right? So you can understand a full picture instead of, taking a magnifying glass and looking at the Mona Lisa in just her eye. You know what I mean? You'll still won't see the beauty of the world if you don't zoom out and see the whole picture of Mona Lisa, right? So if you're
Right.
just focusing on her eye, that's just one thing. Sometimes our cultures are just one small picture of the world, and until we see the full world in its beauty, I really don't think that we can have a true, I'd say, understanding and love for the whole world in itself.
Was there any cultural, practice that, challenged you or, expanded your understanding of things?
Wow, man, so many different cultures. Like in Hawaii, Hawaii is a lot of Hawaii is Asian based too. So like in Hawaii, we have sayings like "take your shoes off before you go in the house," and that's a Japanese culture that part of the Japanese culture that we adapted. Like you don't bring dirt into your house and everything like that. So certain
Okay.
stuff like that we would go to like our friends' houses in the military, and we'd take our shoes off at the door, and their parents like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, we don't walk in the house without with our shoes on, and they're like, what, and like, or certain things are like how when we go to dinner, like a lot of us, it's more like I said, a lot of Asian influence, so a lot of respect, so we don't eat until everybody gets to the table, or until everything, and then usually it's the host or whoever the head of the table is, whether it's your dad, your mom, whoever. There's a once they break bread, then we break bread, kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's always been that thing out of more of the respect for everybody around you and kind of things like that. So some houses you'll just go and kids will just be doing what they want, or the parents will let them. And it was just different. Like I said, not that it was right or wrong. It's just different for us. So
Right, right, right.
understanding these differences really helped broaden your. I just knew where to act a particular way to adjust to where we needed to be. Right.
Right. Was there anything that you kind of came across where you're like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, millions of things, man. Like the way some people like, yeah, you have friends who are like either like Buddhist or Israeli or anything like that, where they have different like religious or cultural practices, where they do certain things. Where you have friends who they're like, okay, I gotta stop playing because we gotta go pray, and you're
Right.
like, wait, what? We're like, wait, it's not Sunday, you know what I mean? So so like for us, we're thinking American like Christians and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, it's on Sunday, where these guys are like, doing their
Every
prayers
day.
several, yeah, every day and at a particular time. You know what I mean? And it's a ritual, where they pull out their the rugs, their carpets, or whatever they have, and
Yeah,
they do
exactly.
their whole thing. And for us, it was like, and then I had a friend who was Buddhist, and he would sit there and be like Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and they're doing these like mantras, and then I'm looking at my friends like, I'm just gonna hang outside and just and so, but you get exposed to it, you see it, and it's cool because you learned. I think the main thing I learned the most was how to respect another culture, because we learned that is the time for them to do what they do, and that right now it's not the time to play. We have to wait for them, and we gave them that respect. You know what I mean? And then so understanding cultural practices and how people are different, how people eat different. Like, oh, at this table I can talk. At a different table you can't talk. At one
Oh,
table you can.
really?
Yeah. Oh, there were so many different types of ways that people eat, how they eat. Like, do you grab your own thing? Do you how you pass the food around? Some people will pass the food around in a circle. It goes one person at a time. Some people are just like open buffet style. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people, their parents will make the dish for you. You know what I mean? So many different ways of things being done. So I think I just learned that with every household we went to, we learned to observe, and we learned to adjust to the environment, to respect the environment.
It's crazy how food, not is this conduit for culture, and not only is it the different food that you learn from, but the different practices of eating, and like you're saying, even the different ways that people serve, and or the people that pray, before they eat, and how they pray. And
Hmm.
food is interesting. Food is, I never really thought of it that way. The importance of food and culture, that's and being Hawaiian, you have so many different cultures that come your way and
Right.
create your own Hawaiian culture. That food wise, that like you were talking about, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's one cool thing. I think I like being Hawaiian. Um, like for us, we've been exposed to so many cultures. Everybody comes to Hawaii. Everybody moves there. Everybody and their mom wants to come to Hawaii. And we had such a diversity. I mean, back in the days when my dad and them were growing up, it was kind of just the local Hawaiians. Kind of stuff. Maybe we had some military that were there and stuff like that. But the level of exposure we have when I was growing up in Hawaii in the '90s and stuff like that was way different. And it's just we all learned from each other, and just how to adjust that. But then Hawaii has also been, I think, out of all the cultures that I've seen in this nation and a lot of them around the world, there's nobody who has had to adjust or adapt other cultures more than the Hawaiians. The Hawaiians have learned, yeah, we got our parts of Hawaii, but 90% of what we consider as Hawaiian culture today is not our culture. It is an adaptation of other cultures that we've just brought into our lives because we think, oh, we like this from this culture. We like this from this culture. We like this from this culture. And it is adapted to what we call the Hawaiian culture today. And you could say native Hawaiian, where the Hawaiians, what we call Kanaka Maoli. And there's a lot of people who are activists trying to bring back that, and they just want to isolate that one culture.
Hmm.
But who we are today as a Hawaiian kid today, I can say I am a blend of a million cultures in everything we do, and a lot of them we don't even know where they come from. But we know that we have Filipino, we got the Japanese, the Puerto Ricans. We got so many
Right.
different cultures that have adapted, that we've adapted to. It's it. And like you were saying about the food, like I was telling a friend just the other day when I was tattooing him, I said, there are three things that are in every culture in the world. It doesn't matter what culture you're from, what country you're from. There's three things that every culture shares, and that's food, dance, and music. And the dance and the music, they sing and tell the stories of the history of whatever culture that is. And it is the food that gathers us together. So the food is the gathering. It is the purpose to gather. Then from there, we share our stories, and our stories will come out in dance and in music. And so, if you want to learn any culture in the world, anything about any culture in the world, sit down, eat their food, break bread with them, sit down, understand their practices and eating their food.
This is David from the Much Love family. I just wanted to give you a heads up that we were having some technical issues during this session. I hope you can understand. Much love. So we definitely want to apologize. We experienced a little technical difficulties. We're
Yeah.
learning how to do this process. So again, we love the family and much love to everyone. So here we're gonna go. We're gonna take it from the three things that mean the most to all cultures. So Keoki, take it from here.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I was telling a friend the other day as I was tattooing him that the three most important things, the three things that every culture has. It doesn't matter where you're from, what country or anything. Every culture has three things. There's food, dance, and music, and it's the dance and the music that tell the stories of our history, and then it's the food that actually brings us together. The food is the purpose for gathering. It is the thing that draws everybody together is the food. So that also shares parts of our culture and everything. So if you want to learn anything about a culture, the first thing you do is you start off by gathering with them, eating their food, breaking bread with them, and then from there listening to their songs and then watching their dances, and you learn everything that's important to them through their dance and their music. It's the one thing that's been passed down for thousands of years through cultures, and it's just really the coolest thing ever, brother.
Have you, in your travels and people that you've met, cultures that you've been a part of, where you've kind of immersed yourself in a new culture and learned like a a valuable life lesson?
Say again.
No, so have you kind of immersed yourself in a new culture and learned a valuable life lesson from them?
Oh yeah, no, tons. Especially since I got into my tattooing. Tattooing, I dug deeper, way deeper into cultures. The especially a lot of the Polynesian based cultures. I mean, growing up, you see aspects of cultures. You know, you just being in the military. Once again, we never dove enough to really get into, I guess, to be a part of their cultures. We were just kind of present in their culture. You know what I mean? Kind of thing
Yeah.
when we visit their houses and stuff like that. You get to see slight differences with the families and stuff. But when I started to dive into culture and the actual Polynesian stuff with my tattooing, that's where it started to you started to understand more of the morals and the values and understanding why people did certain things and their purpose behind things, their whys, right? You know, I think that's the most important thing in the world, and why you it's great to be exposed to different cultures because they explain to you why they do something. You know, it's not just that, oh, I cook rice this way, and they're like, oh yeah, well we cook rice this way, and it's not
Right.
just like we cook this rice this way because we just want to be different from you. No, it's like we do it because of this, the why, and then when you understand the whys, then you can understand their drive behind what they do, you know, and then you can understand that, and it just helps you to understand the foundation of things, and it's really built and restructured my foundation on the way that I think, the way that I understand my whys and how we do things in life.
What was one that stuck with you, that changed you and made you different?
It's well, so the Maori people, the New Zealanders, happen to be like just unbelievable, and it's crazy because back in high school, I was a part of a haka troupe, and we danced haka, which
Oh,
is one of
very
the
cool. Yeah,
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 one
yeah.
of the cultural dances of New Zealand, and I have a lot of cousins and that are from New Zealand and stuff like that, and I was always around it growing up. I just never dove into the culture until later. But like a lot of their tattoos and their meanings, I mean, they were some of the strongest spiritual wise of the Polynesians. Their intelligence, their mind, the way that they thought were a lot. I wouldn't say as less savage as other Polynesians. You know, we all had our culture, but their sense of philosophy, their sense of ideology, the way that they were the first of the Polynesians to incorporate meditation. They were their designs alone show you once again it's our food, our dance, music, and everything like that, and art can be a part of that too. But how they drew their pictures were very, very, very important. And so the Maoris have the what we call the korus, or the negative space. They're kind of like little swirls or little curls. People look at those. They incorporate that in a lot of designs. But
The white
the
space.
yeah, the white space, the negative space, the space that's not tattooed. So
Yeah.
that physical ink that is tattooed into the skin represents the physical life that you live. Everybody sees this life. Everybody can see you. So they see that design. Well, the negative space represents your spiritual journey. So that's why it is a design within a design, because life is meant for balance. It's the balance of your physical as well as your spiritual, your emotional, your psychological. Everything is the metaphysical. You know, it's like you can only do anything physically first once it becomes a thought in your head, right? Yeah, like everything in this world, whatever you do starts as a thought in your head. It's all based off of your mind. And if you can change your mindset, you can change your actions. So
Hmm.
to understand that, like what why did I do this particular action? To understand the purpose, your whys behind something and why it happened, and to, you know, look at that whole cause and effect kind of thing like that. But they definitely take it deeper into the psychological and into the spiritual, which is your you know, the body, mind, spirit, right?
Hmm.
So it's all the three things that are very, 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 very important: your body, your mind, spirit. And in the end, I think it starts with spirit, then mind, then body, because your body can't do anything until your spirit and mind become one, you know. And
Yeah.
so it's really that. So that's why they got some monks that, you know, that they can block out pain, they can do certain things. You can control your body in so many different ways physically if you can get your psychological and spiritual in link. It's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, so mine probably isn't as deep, but for some reason in college and then when I was in Europe, I was drawn to the Latin culture. I'm
Mm,
not really sure why, but exactly what you're talking about. The three things that every culture has: the food, the dance, the music. So the food, I it was a lot of rice and beans, but that was different for me. And the way they cook their rice, just like you were saying,
right.
everyone cooks their rice differently, and that reflects kind of the culture. So that, and then I went to Latin dance nights. So I'm not a dancer, but I had to pick it up because that was a part of it. And the
Yeah.
music, that was the key for the dance, and the music was played during, while we were eating. So the importance of each of those is something that I didn't have before I got immersed in their culture. We had a strong family culture, being close with family in, the aunts, uncles, cousins that I had, but we didn't have this cultural food dance music. We
Mm,
were American in the sense of just being fairly generic. The music
mm,
that was passed down to me was rock and roll. It wasn't anything. I mean, I guess that there is cultural significance in that, but it wasn't the same. And
right.
we didn't dance. That wasn't a thing. We're just not a dancing family. And the food was, we ate out a lot, so it was just where we ate, and
Mm,
that wasn't the same as being, uh, as somebody having a culture where the food, dance, and music represent them. For me, they didn't represent us. They were just experiences. They were, exposure to different things, but none that were just ours. And I guess
right.
that's what I mean. There was none that were ours, but for whatever reason, when I connected with these Latin groups, I saw that, and that was something that changed me. I
Mm,
picked up on this, I don't want to say entertainment side, but this living life side. The importance of dance and music, and the importance of the food. I mean, you hit it right on the head, and I think that's really profound. The food, dance, and music is something that all cultures have, and that are reflective of them. So I mean, that's something that, I didn't think of it that way. So I mean, I thank you for that. That's really cool. Um, so I think, we could also kind of talk about, uh, when we talk about travel. So there is the influence of us on travel, meaning,
mhm.
with our traveling, we affect the old other cultures. So is
Right.
there anything that you've imparted on others?
Oh yeah, big time. I tell people that all I can be is me, right? I can be like people say, "Oh, well, you're Hawaiian." Say, well, depends." You know what I mean? Because although I am, my heritage is Hawaiian. It's like what people would consider Hawaiian and all that kind of stuff. All I can be is me, and so the culture and the life that I was raised with is just who I am. So I'll never lose who I am. But to go out and be me to other people, like people who influence the way, like say the Japanese to Hawaii, how to take your shoes off, what you do when you go in a house, certain things that
Hmm.
I also leave on my friends. A lot of my friends are like, I think I went to a tattoo conference called the Explore Tattoo Conference, and I spoke to them, and I was telling these kids that it was like 250 tattoo artists that we were speaking to, and I was telling them that, well, for my customers, I they become family to me, like just like me and you, man. Just they become family to me. It's just one of those things, and I treat them as such, and this and this and this, and because that's just me, who I am culturally, and how I want to be as a person. And I have instilled that. And there's a lot of kids that came up to me after and they're like, I'm gonna do that. Like this is it. This one. I mean, I didn't try to change them. I just told them about who I was. And if people
Right.
like it, they'll go. And like you were saying about the Latin music, it's like it starts with that energy, the spirit, right? That's what they're
Energy.
just,
That's
yes.
exactly it. That's
Yeah.
the right word. That's
hmm
it.
It was your energy that your frequency of your body met their frequency, and that's where the music. Once again, music is the gathering, right? Music gathers people, so you link to that. It just brings people together, right? Because people like the music, they all get together and stuff like that. We
Hmm.
share the food, and then the food also allows us to sit down. And I think one of the most important things about food sometimes is food helps us to do a very important thing that a lot of people don't do, and that's keep our mouth shut. So they say in out in Polynesia, they say when the Samoans, when they drink their kava, once again, like we spoke before, their drink is like a numbing root. It kind of helps to like an anesthetic, and they'll drink this drink before any of their ceremonies, or whether before they do tattooing or anything like that. And the first thing it does is it numbs your tongue, so your tongue goes completely numb. It's just like
Okay.
it tastes like dirt and water, but your tongue goes numb. So, but it symbolizes the most important thing in the world. They say God gave us two ears and one mouth to use it accordingly. We should listen twice as much as we talk, because through listening we learn. And so when you're eating and you're sitting there sharing stories while someone is telling their story, other people are eating. So your mouth is busy doing something other than interrupting the conversation. You mean your ears are taking in more than your mouth is giving out. So that's a very important thing about learning and culture and anything. To learn things is like, you get the vibe, the energy, you get into it, which gives you the interest into it. Then you get driving and you sit down and you break bread together and you share. And then from there, you hear the stories. But as you're eating, your mouth is shut. So it's pretty interesting stuff if you really think about it.
So I think we covered a lot of topics, and we kind of went over the profound impact of travel on expanding our horizons and building connections, and even fostering empathy. So you feel for people in an important way,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I I really enjoy our conversations, and I hope others do. And you know what? This is what much love is about. It's
Yes.
seeing others, it's bringing others together, it's sharing, it's learning, and all done with a hug. That's the way I picture it. And when you see someone, you embrace them, and when you talk to them, you listen to them, and when you're with them, you are actually with them, you're present. And you know what, I really appreciate everything, Keoki. And as I say before, and we say it multiple times, but it's important. So much love, Keoki. Much love.
Oh, brother, as always, man, I appreciate it. I love it. Sharing the positive energy, the vibes, and everything. Just broadening our perspectives, even talking to each other, like still just learning a lot about even each other as me and you as friends and everything. And just these with all these talks, like yeah, I have nothing else to say but much love, brother. I love every second of it. Much love,
All right, we look forward to continuing these conversations, and we'll see you guys soon. Much love.
much love.